What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 65 of Reezy Talks. I can't even believe I've been doing this for 65 episodes. I've skipped some weeks, but overall, I think I've probably only missed maybe about 8 weeks, 10 weeks max. So, doing pretty good. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you guys here. On this show, I do every Monday nights, normally at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today was super crazy. It's 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in California. That's Pacific Standard Time. And I'm just getting to it. So I apologize. I will try to stick to the schedule in the future. And I also want to try having a general topic in about each video instead of just a Q&A session. So I'm going to cover a topic. Today, it's going to be a great insight for beginners or for intermediate sellers, even for people that are already making money on Amazon. A lot of people always want to know, is this a good item to sell on Amazon? Will this item sell on Amazon? And I'm going to tell you a few things that will help you to always understand if an item is good to sell on Amazon. So first off, smash the like button if you're here. Press the share button. Send it out to Facebook. If you are on Instagram, head over to YouTube so that you can actually ask me questions. I will not be answering questions that come on the Instagram stream. You have to go to YouTube to get the questions answered. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Reezy Resells. In the last 13, almost 14 years, I've made a living completely selling online, 90% Amazon, a very small fraction eBay. And in that time, I sold over 5 million gross sales of used books. Obviously, that's not profit. That's gross. There's overhead, but it's probably about 30% profit or so. So I'm not like driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and I don't own a super mansion beach house or whatever. But I have been able to live life on my own terms for the last 13, almost 14 years now, travel, be present with my kids and family. And that's what I want for you guys. And you guys can take it however you want. Maybe you want to run a $20 million a year business with 10 warehouses. You can do that. But not if you don't know if something will sell on Amazon or not. First off, let me shout out some of my regular people who are here in the chat. What is up, Tracy Thrifts? What is up, Miggity Mike? What is up? Irie Motivation says Taco Bell sauce is hot. Welcome Matt B to his first live show. Appreciate it. Someone said they smashed it so hard they cracked their screen. Don't do that. That's a good screen. You could have sold it. Anyways, guys, so here it is. On Amazon, there's something called sales rank. Most important thing to understand for selling on Amazon. This is a number that is assigned to every single product detail page on Amazon. And that's an important distinction to know, is that a sales rank is assigned to a product detail page and not an item, because one product detail page can contain many variations. If you have a Nike shoe, for example, this shoe could come in 20 colors, and each color could have 10 sizes. Those are all variations. That would be 200 different unique items on the one product detail page. So the sales rank is the number that Amazon gives to an item that denotes how well it is selling in its respective category. So there is not a sales rank for the entire Amazon. Everything is segmented down into root and subcategories. So there's home and kitchen, there's books, there's music, there's CDs and DVDs, there's video games and Blu-ray, there's automotive, there's apparel, there's a lot. There's health and beauty. There's all different kinds of one. There's grocery and gourmet. And inside each of those main categories, there are subcategories. But for this video, we're going to focus on the main categories. Now, you might be very familiar with one category like books, and you might, for example, know that anything over 1 million, you need to do your homework a little more. Anything under 1 million where it looks good, probably pretty good bet. So you might feel safe with books, but you might want to know and I get this question a lot, what sales rank do you stay under in shoes, or what's a good guideline sales rank in shoes? And there's a couple ways you can do this. So first of all, you can take the rank that you currently have of an item. If you scan a shoe and the rank is, let's say it's 50,000 and you're unsure if that's a good rank, you can take that number and divide it into the total amount of items in the category that you're in, and that will tell you what percentage that rank is of the whole scope of everything. So a general statement that is probably pretty true is anything in the top 1% of any category is pretty good. It might not be the best. Like the top 1% of books is not the best books. There's so many books in the books category that I think the top 1% of books would be like 450,000. And that's not really a great selling book. It's a good book. It'll still sell. It might sell in a month or so, might sell in a couple weeks, but it's not the type of book that's going to sell very fast. So you could also take the total amount of items in a category and multiply it by 0.01, and that will tell you what the top 1% of any category is. And if you've seen any of these sales rank charts that are released by certain different people, maybe in their email lists or on their blogs, that's all they're doing. They're taking the total amount of items in a category, multiplying it by 0.01. That's the top 1%. By 0.05, that's the top 5%. So sales rank is very important. And aside from what I was just talking about, sales rank, you need to understand that sales rank is not static. It changes all the time. If an item isn't selling on Amazon, the sales rank is getting worse and worse. It's going higher on the graph, getting to be a higher number. Higher is worse. You want a low number for sales rank. And then when it sells on Amazon, that buying velocity pushes the sales rank down and the rank gets better. Well, thanks to a website called Kiba, Keepa.com, and another one called Camel.com. Yes, I realize that's pretty absurd. They track sales rank over time for items, and this is going to allow you to see how an item has been performing over time. So you need to understand sales rank and how it works and how to read sales rank graphs. Kiba is by far the best. Sometimes they don't have all the data you need, so you might go over to Camel. But everybody watching this should definitely install the Kiba browser extension for Chrome. This is mandatory. This will add a Kiba chart to every product detail page and every offer page on Amazon, and this will help you to understand your buying decisions better when you're at your desktop buying online arbitrage or doing other things. And you can also look at the Kiba charts on mobile. All of the scanning apps should have a one-click feature to bring up the Kiba chart for any item that you have scanned, and this is very important. So from sales rank alone, you can actually see if an item's selling, but it's not perfect. Sometimes there's no sales rank data, not because it's not selling, but because Kiba or Camel's not tracking the item. And sometimes there's glitches. It just doesn't look right. And so there's another thing that you can look at to help you determine if an item is selling, and that is reviews. Not feedback for sellers, but product reviews. Now think about it, guys. How often do you buy off Amazon? How many things have you bought off Amazon? How many of those things have you left a product review for on Amazon? Thank you so much for the outlandish $50 super chat, D Nice. I appreciate you. I could see why they call you D Nice. So back to what I was saying was with the reviews, right? So if you yourself bought an item, bought a bunch of stuff and didn't leave any product reviews, you can assume that most people are not leaving product reviews for items. So let's say, I don't know what the math is, but I would be comfortable saying something like 1 in 10 people leave a product review, or even less, 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100 is probably pretty sure. At least one person out of every 100 leaves a product review. I'd say maybe 10% max, 5 to 10% of people leave product reviews. So if you are thinking about, does this item sell, and you can't make the decision by rank, but it has 600 4-star reviews, rest assured that sucker is selling. Even, it might have been launched recently, or the page might have just been made recently, and so it doesn't have a lot of sales rank history. But let's say it sold 6 times, or it has 6 reviews, and your sales rank data only goes back, maybe like a month. if it got 6 reviews in a month, it probably sold at least 60 times in a month, right? So judging by sales rank and then also by the amount of reviews and the activity of the past sales rank action, you should be able to determine if anything is actually selling. Now, there's one more thing that I want to mention that I was talking about previously when I was mentioning variations. And this is the problem, guys. One product detail page has one sales rank. So there could be, let's simplify it. Let's just say that there's 2 items. There's only 2. Let's say there's 2 shoes on one page. It's a Nike Air Max and there's an all black one. And then there's a pukey mustard and green and brown one. And it has an excellent rank. And it shows that it sells a lot. Now, you don't know which one is selling more, but you can use your brain to estimate or to estimate, to make an educated guess that the mustard, brown, and yellow one's probably not selling as well as the black on black one. And the only way to really tell is to go and look at the product reviews, because they will show which variation the customer bought. And you could sit there and go through 10 or 20 of them and count, how many ones were for the black shoe, how many were for the ugly shoe. And then you could know, okay, there's 100 reviews and 90 of them are for the black shoe. I'm going to make an educated guess that 90% of the sales are coming from the black shoe. So don't expect the mustard and brown one to sell as well as what the data shows, because it's not selling that well. The black one is, right? And so take this problem and spread it out to the reality, which is like some Nike shoes have 20 different colors, and then there's different sizes, or shirts come in 6 colors, or one backpack with 15 colors on one page, and you don't know which one is selling. The only way to tell is through the reviews. Luckily, there is an extension called Resells. It's $100 a month. I think I have a link for it. I'm not sure where it's at. I'll try and add it later. But point is, it's well worth it, and it has something called a variation viewer. So you click the variation viewer on your computer at home on your desktop, and that will expand it out, and it will just show you right away how many reviews that each color or each variation has, and that speeds up your job tremendously. Now, you can't get all of this information, the variation information, on any mobile app that I'm aware of. And one solution that a lot of people employ is that they will have a Chrome laptop, Chromebook, or a really nice tablet that has full Chrome OS on it, and they will use the remote Chrome browser app on their phone or on their tablet that they take with them to control the device that's at home. And then you actually will be able to use all your Chrome extensions while you're buying. So imagine you have like an iPad mini that has a cell phone card, and then you have a Chromebook at home whose sole purpose is to always stay on and always be waiting for the remote call from that iPad mini. The iPad mini calls it, boom, now you're controlling your home laptop with the iPad mini, have access to all your extensions, Resells, anything that you use, and that can help you make your buying decision tremendously faster. But if you understand rank and review and how to read sales rank history, you will always know if an item is actually selling or not. And that's very, very important. So if you guys have any questions, I'll take some questions. I'll do maybe about 10 questions. Just hit me with all capitals question in the comments on YouTube, and then I will answer those questions. So Diego says, what if the item is listed twice? Which should I post my product on? That's a great question, Diego. So a lot of times, generally, I would say post it on the one that has the better sales rank, but maybe you make more money on the other one and it has a sales rank that's just as good or good enough for you and how quick you want to make your sale, then you would list it on that one. The best thing to do is actually to contact Amazon and have them merge the 2 listings into one if they are the same. But there might be some benefit in actually not doing that and selling on the one that's maybe the slower seller but has the higher return on profit. And maybe there's some random scenario where there's 2 listings and you're restricted on this one, but you're not on this one, and you might be able to sell on this one. I don't recommend it, because the likeliness is actually that someone who couldn't sell on the restricted one made a new listing and just like cobbled the data around the restrictions so that they could sell it. So that could be risky. But again, I would look at the reviews on a product detail page. If I'm restricted to sell it on this listing and this listing, I can sell it, and they both have a lot of product reviews, meaning they're active pages that are people are actually buying on, then I wouldn't be so worried about that. Let's see. Question. So is Gary V coming through on the scanners? I'm sure he will. He said he would. He's a man of his word. But like I said in the last episode, Team Gary V is extremely bogged down. They got a lot of stuff on their plate. Let's see. Why does Amazon require measurements and weight for books? I packed a box of books to ship and was surprised by this, that each book required this info. Usually that information is included with the product detail page and you shouldn't have to put it in. Maybe you're listing your stuff as merchant fulfilled instead of listing it straight as FBA. You should try that, but generally that's not an issue that I deal with. This Andrew says, how do you know much competitor in, I don't know, maybe competition? Toy Hunters Online says, question, will a Nadamu work for scanning books compared to the eYoYo? I'm sure. What you want to look for on a scanner that you're going to use with your phone is obviously Bluetooth capability. And then it should say if it'll work on iOS or not, but it's called HID, which stands for Human Information Device or Human Input Device. Technically, mice and keyboards, they're all HID. You just plug it in and it sends information. So your phone or your computer actually thinks that your Bluetooth scanner is basically a keyboard. And when you scan a barcode, it's the same as if you just typed it up on a keyboard. Diego again. How do you scan clothes to see the rank in Amazon? What barcodes do I use? You want to use the manufacturer barcode. So like if you're at Ross or you're at Marshalls, do not scan the Marshalls or the Ross barcode. That's not going to tell you anything. You want to scan the Nike barcode, the Ralph Lauren barcode. And a lot of it's not going to come up, guys. It doesn't mean that it's not listed. It just means it's not coming up with the barcode, and you might have to title search it. Thank God Nike items have style numbers, and you can search almost any of them with that. So that makes that easier. Other stuff is harder to find, and it might not have a listing. Let's see. Which is the fastest way to make money online with limited budget, eBay or Amazon? It depends. Amazon's really restricted when you first start selling, and that's why I recommend a lot of people to sell primarily books in the beginning because they're not as restricted, and you can build up your Amazon account using books and then get opened up to other categories and do other things. But eBay, often neglected by Amazon sellers, can make you a lot of money because a lot of stuff you can't sell on Amazon, you'll be able to sell on eBay. And I'm not just talking restrictions. I'm just talking like just general stuff. You wouldn't sell like this vintage McDonald's screen printed cup on Amazon. You would sell it on eBay. So if you don't sell on eBay, you would miss it out. So the real answer is both. And not even just those two. You also want to sell on Poshmark. You also want to, which is clothing, right? Men's and women's, kids, I guess too. I'm not an expert. Also Mercari. Mercari is coming up. You want to sell on Mercari. Maybe you want to look into selling your vintage clothing or items on Etsy. A lot of people don't know that you can sell vintage items on Etsy, including clothing, electronics, anything. I think it just has to be 20 years old at least, which is crazy because that puts us at 1998. Yeah, for the limit of stuff to be listed on Etsy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that Etsy is a largely underserved marketplace. And for example, if there's a jacket that you're going to sell on eBay for $30, I wouldn't be surprised that you sold it for 50 or 60 on Etsy. And there's definitely arbitrage opportunity to buy off of eBay and sell on Etsy. Do you have an FBA label printer preference? So I have used the Dymo Turbo 450, and also I've used the different Zebra printers. I like Dymo better than Zebra, but just because to set up a Dymo printer and the connectivity issues are much less and easier with the Dymo. Zebra is way cheaper if you can find some good priced ones, but I'm going to try the Rolo printer because I'm so freaking tired of the random issues the Dymo printer will have with labels unwrapping in the machine, or it printing a label and then sending another label, skipping a label, printing halfway through a label. There's just all these random problems that happen with the Dymo, at least for me. And so I'm going to try the Rolo printer. It has less mechanisms. It's a feed through the back. It doesn't hold rolls. And that's another good thing. On the Dymo printers, you have to use their specific rolls. They have a little light that checks for a hole in the roll edge. And so you can't use third-party rolls. But with the Rolo printer, you could just use fan fold stacks of thermal labels that you can actually get for free from UPS or for extremely cheap on eBay. Let's see. How to handle jerks at book sales. So be faster than them for one, but kill them with kindness, and maybe try and report them to the authorities or whoever's in charge or whatever. But don't stoop to their level and just focus on being quick. Are we in or out on bacon wrapped hot dogs? I'm in on that. I'm so in on bacon wrapped hot dogs, you don't even understand. What about hot dog wrapped bacon? That's the real question. I try to download the Scout IQ app. It's asking for my email, but where do I set it up at? You need to have an Amazon seller account and I believe you set up your Scout IQ account in the app. I haven't set up a new one for a while. Have you ever had any issues with getting bed bugs from used books? I heard they can live in books for a long time. Well, I don't bring the books near my bed I try not to bring them into my house. So I actually really don't bring books into my house anymore. They all stay in the garage or in the storage unit. But if you have to bring them into your living space, I would just recommend giving them a once over. I've never had this problem in over 13 years. But I do understand because books can sometimes come from places that are pretty dirty. Dang it, I just lost that question. How do I find how to get ungated in different categories? Great question. So there's different ungating levels. There's categories and brands, right? Categories, for them, go to Google while you're logged into Amazon and search for approval Amazon categories, and then just go through each one and click on them and request approval to sell in that category. Some of them will approve you right away, and some of them will ask for invoices. Now, the ones that are asking for invoices, you have two options. One is try to acquire invoices. So what does that mean? That means set up a wholesale account with a distributor or manufacturer of products that are in that category, and then order some and get invoices and submit those to Amazon and proving that you're allowed to sell them in those categories and do it that way. Or if you're unable to do that, you can just sell on Amazon what you can for 6 to 12 months. And at some point, your account will hit maximum approval and you will start getting approved for much more categories and even more brands. Now, there's still some brands that you're not allowed to sell on. They just will not let you sell that brand no matter what, right? So there's brands that I can't sell. And there's also even stupid stuff like I just scanned some water bottles yesterday at Target. I could have made $5-6 profit on each one. And I'm not restricted to sell in that brand category. Like I can sell that item. But the only sellers on that item and it has a really good rank in home and kitchen. The only two sellers are Amazon and the manufacturer. And that's a red flag that they're going to file IP claims, meaning if you list that item, you're just going to get an email from Amazon saying that, or from the company's lawyer saying you can't sell that item. Amazon's going to take your item down and you're going to have to, return it to the store you bought it from, which might mean you have to have it pulled back to you or whatever. So it's not, it's not a blanket that anyone can use, but everyone will be at a different level of approval. So try to get whatever category whenever you find something you're not allowed to sell on Amazon, you should always apply to try and sell it. The way you do that is from Inventory Manager. You go to add a product, you put in the ASIN of the item. It will say restrictions, request access to sell. You click it. It either says you're good to go or it says you need invoices. And so you have to do one of those two things. Do you have any experience selling board games? Any tips for packing them up? Missing pieces are a no-go. Correct. Do not sell missing pieces on Amazon for board games. What you can do is you can buy other people's pieces. So pieces for board games are worth money. If you scan a board game and it's worth a lot of money, don't worry if it's not complete, because chances are that if that game's worth, 50, 75 bucks, the pieces are worth money by themselves, because there's another person like you that's just missing some pieces to complete their board game. So you could sell the pieces on eBay, just the pieces, and someone will buy them. Or just sell the game incomplete on eBay, which someone who needs pieces or needs a better box or needs a better board, they'll buy it from you to make their item better, maybe to sell on eBay as complete or to sell on Amazon as complete. As far as keeping it nice, I would just use some Ziploc bags to put all the various pieces in. Maybe a couple different Ziploc bags, depending on how many pieces it has. Is it, is it risk? Because that's a lot of pieces. You might want to put all the green guys in one bag, all the red guys in another bag. It's up to you how good of a presentation you want to have for your customer, but just use some bags if you have some smaller ones. If not, Ziploc bags are fine. Rubber band cards together, that kind of thing, and put some packing material in the actual board game box so that the pieces can't slide around inside the box. I'm having trouble keeping track of my sales, profit, taxes, and shipping expenses. How do you use it? So I use a tracking spreadsheet, and there's a link down below for that. It's made for Amazon, and you take one report off of Amazon, you paste all the information into there, and then you also can import your own listing data like your SKU and your cost into that spreadsheet as well in another tab, and it just has everything for you. Super nice. Alternately, you could use Inventory Lab. They have accounting built in. You could use QuickBooks Self-Employed, depending on how much expenses you have. You could use QuickBooks Online, or you can also hire an accounting like service like bench.co to do your accounting for you. We use them as well to manage our finances, which is great. Let's see. What method do you use for paying taxes? So I use bench.co accounting. I use the tracking spreadsheet, and I have a CPA. So all of those things. I don't do anything with taxes. I just give files and we work it out. But honestly, a couple people here and there have asked me for tax related content, and I'm very reluctant to do that because, for one, I'm not educated enough to know all this tax mumbo jumbo, which is why I hire a CPA and an accountant. And two, legally, I might not be able to say it. I'm not too sure about that. Also, it's just the most boring thing in the world that I might borderline cry about, paying the IRS so much money every year. So if you're an accountant and an Amazon seller, there might be a huge niche for you on YouTube. Let's see. I just got a storage unit to store ship books out of, and when I signed the lease, they said I couldn't run a business out of it. Would selling used books out of a storage unit be considered that? It probably would, but I would just try and find a different storage unit. We have several storage units, and they're perfectly fine with us doing that. And also, you might ask them, like, is it okay if you store, I wouldn't consider that running a business if you don't have a computer and lights there. Like, if you're just storing your inventory there, and then when it sells, like whether you're an eBay seller or an Amazon seller, you go and get it. I wouldn't really consider that a business, but you got to just ask, like, be honest. You don't want to get into some trouble. Let's see. Smash the like real quick, guys. 128 people watching, only 53. I have about 100 brand new Pillow Fort Kids teepees from Target. Oh, I sold a bunch of those a couple years ago. They're going for $60 on Amazon, but I'm restricted. Send me a DM. I'll buy them from you. or flip them on eBay. Maybe they're going on Amazon or on eBay. I mean, just flip a Tennessee State of the Nation for 150-cent flip from the bins. Awesome. Is that clothing? Do you need to be a pro seller to request to be ungated for restricted items? Yes, you do. There's only two reasons you should pay the $40 a month to be a pro seller. One is because you sell more than 40 units a month on Amazon, and that is your break-even point for the $1 fee they charge for non-pro merchant sellers, and or you want to apply to sell in restricted categories. Let's see. If you guys have any questions, holler at me. It looks like the questions are slowing down. Looking for questions. How many books is a good base to start your Amazon FBA business? I've shipped around 100 on my first week to start. That's fine. I mean, it's really up to you. You know, you will actually make a little bit more money in a lot of scenarios, especially popular books, selling them yourself, merchant fulfilling them. But I would rather focus on sourcing more books and sending them to FBA rather than storing them and shipping them. It's just so much more scalable. But that's up to you. You know, maybe you don't mind staying home or having to be home to grab books that sold and then wrapping them or whatever. But the level that I'm on is that I want to work on my business, not in my business. And if I'm paying employees, I would much rather have them sourcing and shipping stuff to Amazon than pulling orders and wrapping them. So really, like, as soon as you have 40 pounds of books that you want to send in to FBA, that's about right. You know, you shouldn't send less than 40 pounds or you're not going to get optimal inbound shipping rate. But that's a really subjective question. It's up to you. Ivan says, have you ever tried Shopify? Very lightly. I tried Shopify. I didn't like it because it didn't have traffic. And at the time, I didn't have any idea how to drive traffic and run ads. And so I didn't use it. I know people, you know, want to set up their t-shirt store, so they set it up on Shopify. I recommend setting up on Etsy because Etsy has organic traffic, guys. There's already people searching for shirts there. How do you know what products to look at to do marketplace to marketplace arbitrage, eBay to Amazon or vice versa? So you can actually scan eBay using tactical arbitrage, and you can do it that way. There's actually a $1 trial down below for tactical arbitrage, online arbitrage software. And there's one way to do it. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of mismatches on eBay with titles. And, you know, it might say it's this item, and then you look it up and it's actually counterfeit on eBay or from a Chinese seller or whatever. So, but aside from that, really, it's just digging into stuff and looking, you know, what do you know about? Do you know about certain tools? So look at those tools, you know, see what they've sold for. And if you see that, like, well, let's say, like, I don't know, hold on a second. Let's say this vapor rub right here was like a crazy hammer that's worth like $150. And so you search for the hammer on eBay and you show sold items and you're looking at it and you know it's 150 retail and you know it has a lifetime warranty, whatever. And you know it's a good item and you know it should sell for like, you know, 125 used, 100 used. But as you're looking through the sold, you tend to notice some off things happening. You notice that it sells for like $20 sometimes or $10 sometimes, or you notice that people spell the title wrong or they forget to put in a certain keyword, which most people are probably searching for. And then lo and behold, this retail $150 hammer ends up selling for $10. So what do? You set alerts on eBay for that item to alert you if there's a buy it now under a certain price or an auction ending in a certain amount of time under a certain price, and you'll get alerts for that item. That's really how you can build it up. Otherwise, you're just manually searching stuff that you know about. You know, just search Sony. Sony comes up, Sony camera, in cameras, Sony, and then just go through the list and compare each one to Amazon. There's definitely got to be an extension probably Clear Platinum, I think it's called, by Jordan Malik, that would have like a one-click link from the eBay listing to open the Amazon tab to quickly compare it. It might be faster to use your Amazon app to scan the image off the eBay screen to try and do it that way. But really, there's no special way aside from using tactical arbitrage to scan eBay and compare it to Amazon. That's just going to be all on you and what do you know about. Excuse me. How much money do you think a one-man book reseller can make in a year? So profit is a little different, and it depends on how you're doing it. So I know a guy that does Amazon books part-time, one guy, that's it. He uses a prep facility. He sources 100% online arbitrage. That's buying from Amazon when the price is low and sending it back to Amazon to sell when the price is high. And one guy on the side, like a few hours a day after his full-time job, he sold over 1 million in 2017 of books on Amazon. But he also spent $250,000 buying those books on Amazon. And I think his profit was somewhere around 200,000. And that's just one guy working a few hours a day. And obviously he had to build his way up to that. And he probably uses eFlip software to do it as well. But just sourcing books at a thrift store, I would say if you're determined, you could probably do 100,000 in your first year. It just depends on the source around you and how hard you're working. Where's Simon at? How accurate is the Profit Scout IQ shows? As far as I know, it's pretty accurate. Have you flipped items from Burlington? I have not. I've actually only been into Burlington a couple times, and I never find any cleats when I'm there, so it sucks. Have you ever had any issues with suspensions? No, I pray to the Amazon gods that in almost 14 years across 3 or 4 accounts, I've never been suspended. So I guess I'm lucky because, yeah. But a lot of people do deal with that issue. There's services that can help you. Unfortunately, I can't recommend any right now, but you have to write a POA letter to Amazon, a plan of action. You basically have to say, I'm sorry, I broke the rules. Here's why it happened, and here's what we're going to do so it doesn't happen again in the future. And unfortunately, a lot of times Amazon doesn't care if you didn't actually do it or didn't actually do anything wrong. It's fully automated. And the only way you're going to get your account back and start selling again is to just admit that you were wrong and do, like I said, and submit a plan of action. On Instagram, my boy Secondhand Swagger, that's a good follow on Instagram, secondhand_swagger. He said, we flipped some frozen tricycles from Burlington, $25 into $139. That's a solid flip. Let's see what we got in here. How much should I be selling every month before hiring a CPA? That's a great question. And I think it's not so much about how much, but maybe how many transactions and quantity of item are you selling. It just comes down to transactions and accounts. How many credit cards do you have? How many bank accounts do you have? How many transactions are you dealing with? And are you able to account for all of them and to categorize them? And can you do your own taxes on TurboTax or whatever tax program you're using? Or is it overwhelming? If it's overwhelming, or you feel like you could be making more money if you didn't have to take a week off to do your taxes, then you should definitely hire a CPA. I recommend you guys to use free accounting services like Mint or Wave when you're first starting out, but you still need something like the tracking spreadsheet to keep track of your inventory at Amazon and what you paid for it, because a lot of people get this confused, but your unsold inventory at Amazon is not an expense. It's not an expense or until the item sells. It's basically considered like it's still cash and it's an asset. So if you owe $100,000 in tax and then you buy a $100,000 car as inventory to sell and it's unsold, it still is exactly like you have $100,000 cash and you still have to pay tax, likely 30,000. Madness. Whoops. Saw a question about LTL. Hey, Reezy, do you mind talking a little bit about LTL shipping? I'm not sure if I should start doing it. My last 3 shipments were 1,000 or more books. What's the minimum? Great question, Eduardo. So the answer is going to vary for each person because the amount you get charged for LTL shipping and when it's worth it for you depends on how far is the warehouse you're shipping to from your location. And even more important than that, how far is your location that you're shipping from the shipping lane, meaning the roads that the trucks drive on normally. So the freeway or the highways, as long as they're allowed to drive there, those are going to be shipping lanes. And they charge various rates based on how long will the truck have to be off the shipping lane and how far. If you're right by the shipping lane, it's going to be cheaper to get deliveries or to have pickups right there. If you're further away and they have to drive 20 minutes out in the boonies, it's going to cost you more. So it's going to vary for everybody. But the good news is it's very easy to see what rates you'll get. So the next time you guys are making a shipment, I don't care if you're not actually going to send LTL. I want you to just click the button LTL shipping. Don't worry, you can go back and just go through the options and pretend like you're going to ship LTL and see what rates you would get. Maybe you're only shipping 50, but just throw in 300 pounds in there and see what the rates are and go back and compare it to your own UPS rates or FedEx rates, which you should be they should be 25 to 50 cents a pound for the close or far warehouses. But with LTL shipping, you can get as low as 6 to 9 cents a pound, which is like 60+% savings on shipping, which cannot be ignored. But obviously, you still have to do box contents, or you're paying Amazon to do box contents for you, which costs a little bit. And on top of that, it'll just be different for everyone. So for me, I would make 60% savings at around 300 pounds. And I know a couple people that have to send, 900 pounds, or they have to send 2 pallets before they start to see that 60% savings. So just test and see what it's going to take for you to get that, 6 to 9 cents a pound inbound rate with LTL shipping. But if you're shipping, 1,000 units, you should definitely be looking into LTL. Let's see. Messenger's Business says he buys merchant fulfilled, not Prime, to resell on Amazon. That's usually true for books, but I will also buy Prime because what happens is for the disparity from merchant to Prime, I'm buying because the Prime prices are tanking in the off season of school, and I know they're going to go up much higher, as I can see from the Kiba chart. So those are Prime sometimes, and I buy those using my Amazon business account, which gets free shipping over $25. So technically, I'm not using Prime to get those books shipped to me, which means I'm not breaking the terms of service on Amazon, because it is against the terms of service to buy Prime to resell. And then also I do Amazon flip. So I'll buy directly from Amazon themselves and sell back on Amazon later. Because if you guys don't know, Amazon adjusts their price wildly sometimes. They might drop an item $20, $10, $50, and then put it back up to full price 2 days later. And if you have your alerts, or if you're using tactical arbitrage and you found those items, it's a lot of good profit to be made. Let's see. What would be a realistic amount for a part-time RA person to make per year? That's a really hard question to answer because it just depends on, how hard you're working and also your surroundings. Like for me, I live in a small town, 50,000 people. I might have good access to books because I live in a college community that's literate and there's rich people, but we don't have any Walmarts. And so I have to drive 45 minutes to get to a single Walmart. A lot of you might live in a town that has like 8 Walmarts, 10 Walmarts, 4 Targets. Like you guys have a huge advantage over me for retail arbitrage. So it really just depends, but I don't think it's ludicrous to say that your first year of going hard in retail arbitrage, you could do 100,000 in sales at probably 20 to 30% profit. but that might depend on your capital that you're able to spend, how fast you can grow it, stuff like that. How do you, darn it, YouTube. How do you find the price value of old books that don't have ISBNs? You search them by title, which you can do in all of the scanning apps. How much would you recommend a person make before they left their full-time job? I would recommend that you make as much as you're making from your full-time job, or as like, that's a trade-off. So if being a reseller makes you the same amount of happiness as having a 9-to-5 job does, it doesn't make you any happier, then I would say you need to make the same amount of money, and maybe even plus what it's going to cost for you to get healthcare, because I'm assuming your 9-to-5 includes free healthcare for you and your family. But if maybe you're happier with less money and having a better lifestyle, being a reseller, not working so hard, not working 40 hours a week, being in charge of your time, maybe you'll accept less. It depends, right? Some people are happy with $40,000 a year. Some people feel like bums if they don't make $100,000 a year. So there's a lot of differences. Some people will live in a van and sell on Amazon FBA, so everyone has their different level. It's up to you and what you're comfortable with, but maybe, hopefully what I said could give you some guidance on that. I'm sorry if it didn't. Graduating next year in June and plan to do this full time. What do you think will change? Do you recommend it? I don't think too much is going to change. I mean, I don't think too much is going to change. And that's funny because one of the things that I think is not changing is the fact that Amazon always changes. So the fact that Amazon always changes means that there's always new opportunities for people to get in the game. There's people that have been selling on Amazon for 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years, and they're kind of running their ship on autopilot. And one thing can change on Amazon that they don't really understand how to leverage for 3 months. But because you do, you're able to get going and succeed and take market share away from them. So, and don't forget, guys, this is the beginning of e-commerce. I hear people say, well, Amazon's saturated. Like, dude, it's not saturated. Right now, we still think it's noteworthy to talk about stores that closed. In the future, they'll all be closed and we won't be talking about it anymore unless we're talking about history. So, now is the time of change and the markets are all changing. Consumer behavior is changing, and you can be very successful selling online as long as you are in front of the changes. What are the Amazon fees for 6 and 12 month storage? I believe, and don't quote me, that 6 months is $11.25 per cubic foot, and 12 months is $22.50 per cubic foot. But on top of that, after 12 months, you get charged 25 cents per item per month on top of that. So definitely don't want to be holding on to stuff longer than 12 months. And if you can, at all costs, sell it before 6 months. Can you update us on your Seattle trip? Oh, great. I can't believe I forgot this long to mention this. Dang it. I was going to say that first. So, guys, I'm going to Seattle for the Merch by Amazon conference. I've never been to Seattle. It's going to be the 20. Let me bring up my calendar real quick. It's going to be the 20. Hold on. It's going to be, I will arrive on the morning of the 26th, and I will be leaving around 2 p.m. on the Saturday, the 29th. So, my plan for you guys is to do a meetup in Seattle Saturday morning at a cafe. So it'll either be a breakfast or just a coffee meetup on Saturday, the 29th in Seattle. It's free for anyone that wants to come through, pick my brain for a minute. We'll probably hang out for like an hour, 2 hours max. So the plan for me is to wake up early on Saturday, the 29th, check out on my Airbnb, wheel my luggage and my camera bag over to a really good coffee shop in Seattle, which I'm sure they have plenty of really good ones, and then hang out with you guys for a couple hours. And then from there, head over to the airport and catch my flight out. Yeah. So Saturday morning, the 29th in Seattle, I'm going to do a meetup. either at a breakfast spot or a cafe. If you're from Seattle, I would love for you to attend. If you're near Seattle, you should come. It'll be a great opportunity for you not only to meet me, but more importantly, to meet the other people that live in your area that do what you do, that can help you, that can become a support network for you. Because as a reseller, it's kind of a lonely business. There's not a lot of people we can talk to about what we do. People either think we're bragging, or they don't understand it, or they just want to like watch TV or something. They're just not ambitious. So, and there's a lot of Amazon sellers that are not just Amazon sellers. They have other businesses, they do other stuff. So it's really good networking opportunity. But if you live in Seattle and you know like what coffee shop we should go to, or a really nice third wave specialty joint, send me a message on Instagram DM, Twitter DM, send me an email, reezyresells@gmail.com. Speaking of my website, reezyresells.com, I'm overhauling my website. I'm bringing the blog back. I will be rolling out a course sometime in the near future. And I do have a free course that you can get right now that's on reezyresells.com. So if you're just like a new subscriber and you want to get into reselling, there's some free information that I've put together for you guys in exchange for your email address on my website, reezyresells.com. So go check it out. It's not fully done, but it's going to be pretty nice. I can't wait to have a good website. Do you have any experience with renting or leasing a fleet van for Q4 or for a few months? I do not have experience leasing a van for a short period. Usually what I would do would just grab a U-Haul van or get one from Enterprise. U-Haul is usually cheaper. It depends on how far you have to drive. What are you talking about, Dom? Correspondent role as a guest writer. Oh, you want to write blog articles? That would be dope, Dom. I'm so down for that. That would be dope. That'd be super dope. Talking on Instagram for a second. Let's see. When first starting to use Reprice It, do you go through every single book and set your desired price points on each one? No, I do not. So I set a minimum price that I want to sell everything for. It's going to be, since Reprice It doesn't include weight into the factorization, my minimum threshold at this point is $8 on Reprice It. And then you just have a general template by either by condition or by fulfillment type by FBA, and you use that template to price your books. But make sure before you check the box that said send the changes to Amazon that you run it a few times and view the reports, see what it would have changed the prices, and see if you like what it's doing, because I do not want to hear that any of my followers turned on their repricer and accidentally sold all their inventory for a penny. It's not my fault if you try to tell you need to set floor prices for templates or for items in the per item rules. Just please make sure you know what you're doing before you send it live to Amazon. Are you coming to LA anytime? I'm actually going to Phoenix October 4th, 5th, and 6th. So if you guys are in the Phoenix area, I will be doing a meetup sometime in those 3-day windows, 4, 5, and 6 in Phoenix. And I'll give you guys information on that later. I want to do this for the next decade. Do you think I can profit 10 million? I definitely do. Again, that's, going to be determined on how much money are you starting with? How hard are you willing to work? Are you willing to scale and hire people? Because you're going to need to do 10 million. And you're going to need a warehouse. You're probably going to need to either do wholesale or private label. I don't really know any retail arbitrage sellers doing 10 million a year. I know a few doing 3 million a year with small sourcing teams, but I've never heard of anyone doing 10 million gross a year retail arbitrage. So just with scalability, I would think you would want to trend towards wholesale or private label. And you could do more than that. Watch Me Amazon does 10 million a year wholesale, and he just has, a handful of workers and one warehouse. My coworkers are so sick of hearing about my reselling. No, they are. They probably make fun of you and your dirty reselling stuff, like depending if you sell used items or not. But it's weird. People will be like, get a real job, scum. And you're like, how the fuck? How is this not a real job? Like, I just don't understand how people who have a job, I think they're just secretly mad at themselves because they have a 9 to 5 and they're too scared to take the leap to do something like reselling. And so they're jealous and they're projecting that jealousy and resentment onto you when they belittle you for not having a real job. It happens to me all the time, like at least a couple times a month, and it pisses me off every single time. What happened to the Money Talks show? So the Money Talks show is since 30 episodes ago, it's been called Reezy Talks because Money Talks is trademarked. So I wanted to get away from that. Unfortunately, I'm slightly lazy and I haven't gone back and retitled all of my YouTubes or changed the thumbnails. And I also, since I have a large amount of new followers, I wanted to go back to the Q&A format. And so I'm taking a break on interviewing other resellers. I would definitely still be interested in interviewing interesting people running non-reselling businesses or ways to make money or make a living. But for the time being, it's going to be me doing Q&A with the audience, just answering as many questions as I can to help everybody out. Question for the huge fans that are brand now, how can we get on your Patreon? It's sold out and I'm bummed. I've been thinking about this for a while, David. I probably will open another tier of slots on the Patreon. I just need to think about how many more people I want to add to the group. It won't be more than 25 more people. We're currently at 75, and I really don't want to have more than 100 people in the private group because at that point, over 100 people, it becomes hard to get to know people and less intimate, and that's just not the vibe that I want in the Patreon group. So if you want to join the Patreon, there's a link down there, or just go to patreon.com/Reezy, and you might get lucky and someone cancels their subscription or whatever, and you can get a spot. But I will likely be opening it up for another 25 people in the near future. Send me a DM and I'll let you know, David, when it happens. Can this be done in Australia? Yes, it can. And you guys have Amazon.au in Australia. So I would explore that before you explore shipping to the US from Amazon. And also, you don't need to live in America to sell on .com. You could live anywhere in the world and buy like online arbitrage or wholesale or private label and get it to prep facilities in America and then have them forward it to your FBA account in America. And so the products never actually went to Australia, and they either came from inside of America and went straight to your Amazon account through a prep center, or you ordered your private label products from China or wherever else, and they came to America, were received, and then forwarded to your Amazon account. So you don't actually need to live in America to sell on Amazon.com, as it is obviously the most highly trafficked platform that Amazon has. But I would keep your eyes and ears peeled for those opportunities on your emerging platform in the country that you live in. You might be the lucky first Australian to have a stranglehold on garlic presses, which is like a little joke in private labeling. That product hasn't been profitable for 1,000 years in private label, but just don't miss opportunities. You're right there. I would hate to hear that an American seller living in America is capitalizing on Australia Amazon opportunities before you, and you live there, right? So don't let that happen. That's your duty, your mission, should you choose to accept it. Yeah, I saw the new Mission Impossible. It's actually pretty good. It was the first time Luna watched an action movie, and she really liked it. And she was like, "Dad, how come you didn't tell me action movies were cool?" And I was like, "What? Like, you're 6 years old. All you want to watch is animated stuff and family movies." So Luna now watches action movies, and she wants to watch all of the Mission Impossibles. Someone said, I make more than my 9 to 5, but I'm building. That's also another option, guys. A lot of you guys are happy with your job. You make good money, and you can just make it all work together. So don't even quit your job. Just keep building. Put 100% of your reselling income to the side. Do you like WWE? I don't watch wrestling. What softwares do you use to track inventory and expenses? I already talked about that earlier. Tracking spreadsheet, link down below. If I have a professional seller account, am I automatically Prime member? No, you're not. You look like Cesaro. I don't know what that means. Do you have a video explaining manual versus automated initial pricing for a book? I don't have a video about that, but I will put that on the list for sure. What is your favorite FBA category after books? That's a hard question. Favorite category after books. I really like clothing and apparel, but I'm starting to learn that some categories sell extremely fast. Like health and beauty sells really fast. I really don't have a favorite. Whatever is selling well, that's my favorite category. Sorry for dancing around the question, but I really don't have an answer. Are your triggers for FBA scan in your course? So I don't actually have a course yet, but the course that I do recommend is below in the links by my good friend Jim Pickens, and he does include triggers for FBA scan in the course. Let me see what that link is. It is under the description. It's called Book Selling Course. You can go to scanthatshit.com and that will take you there. Let me see if I can actually put the link in the chat. www.scanthatshit.com. I wonder if it'll think it's a cuss word. No, it looks like it worked. So I just put the link to the course that I recommend for books that's down in the chat. I'm actually going to do a course that's books with retail arbitrage included. Should I start out with FBM when starting out? Yeah, definitely. Until you're comfortable or until you're just tired of doing it yourself, then switch to FBA. You'll definitely make less mistakes that way than just jumping into FBA. Will I have any issues living in Canada selling on Amazon? I'm assuming you mean .com. You might have some issues getting stuff over the border. You'll have to use services like Run in Red. If you're talking about selling on Amazon.ca, there's a little bit of nuances. The market's not as developed. American consumers are crazy. We buy off Amazon like none other. We just click buy. We don't even look at the price. Like we don't care. We're zombies, just consumer zombies. But other countries are not like this. UK, Canada, Australia, the consumer mentality just hasn't gotten there yet. And but also the good side is that the sellers are not up to par either. It's not saturated with sellers, and I would assume that Amazon will eventually get to where American consumers are in every other country. Like I saw billboards in the subway in Paris for Amazon, and that kind of got me excited, and that tells me that they're willing to still invest in growing the France Amazon consumer behavior. In America, you don't see billboards for Amazon. You just don't. It's just they don't need them. You don't need them. It's just there already. Like you don't have to advertise Amazon because in America, if you don't buy on Amazon already, you're just crazy. Yeah, FBA Scan changed their name to Scoutly. Yeah, they're definitely trying to compete more with Scoutify. And if you see, if you search for Scoutify, Scoutly comes up. FBA Scan is actually keyword spamming in the App Store. So if you go to FBA Scan, which is now Scoutly in the App Store, and you scroll to the bottom of the description, you will see it says something like performs just like Scout IQ, Scoutify, Profit Bandit, Scan Power Mobile. They just comma other competitor app names so that they come up in every single search for those. Kevin Burns says, pretty scandalous. I just started watching your vids and I've decided to do the 5-box challenge to get started and prove to myself and wife that I can make money other than my regular job. Hell yeah, Kevin. I got your back. Send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter and keep me updated with your progress. Tag me in your posts on Instagram. I would love to see it. That cue ball has a beautiful sheen to it. Do you use shea butter? I should use shea butter. Coconut oil, baby. It's all about that coconut. Garrett says, oops, I'm listing stuff and I accidentally typed a UPC on here. That's okay, Garrett. You're obviously a real hustler. If you sell books and you've never accidentally texted someone an ISBN while you were scanning, who are you? All real booksellers have done that before. How do I get into wholesaling? You need to make accounts with wholesalers. Struggling to understand the interface of Scoutly FBA scan. Anyone else? They do have a menu in the, I haven't used it for a long time, but I believe in the help or settings section of FBA scan, Scoutly, whatever we're going to call it. There should be a help section, and there should be something called the screen annotation, which will show you what everything means on the screen. If that's too much for you, just switch to Scout IQ. It's way easier to understand. I'm a new seller on Amazon. Should I sell in the UK? I can't really answer that question if I don't know where you're at. Mighty Mushroom coming through with a $2 super chat. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Question: the hidden mode for FBA scan isn't working on my Android. Have you heard of this? I'll contact them soon. So definitely contact them. They might take a few days to get back to you. And they usually take, weeks to update problems in the app unless it's a very serious issue. But I also don't use Android. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So I don't know. It works in iOS still. Have you done any wholesale? Yes, very small amounts. Groceries. Do you think drop shipping is good? It can work, definitely. Do you like to read comic books? I read a bunch of I used to watch Naruto anime with subtitles, and I got tired of waiting for the anime to come out, so I actually torrented all the manga and read all of the manga. I think I read it on a Nintendo DS. Where is my DS? It's probably in a random drawer somewhere. Old school DS. Why do all my shipments keep going to Jersey, Tennessee, and East Coast? Is there a way to ship just to West Coast Amazons? There is not. There is something called inventory placement where you can pay 20 cents an item, I believe, to send it to the warehouse that you specify or to one warehouse. But what really sucks about that is there's all types of categories of items that are not eligible for inventory placement. So in the end, you really can't control it. Hopefully Scout IQ makes it to Australia. I feel like they will. I feel like right now you should be wearing a gold chain and some purple glasses. That would be so dope. That would be so dope. Maybe if I was doing this, if I was doing live shows while drinking alcohol, that would make a lot more sense. Do you sell anything on eBay still? Yes, I do. My eBay store is currently at like 4,300 for the last 60 days. My eBay store is public, so I have a link for it on some videos where I've talked about eBay, but my store name on eBay is Reezy Resells. So any of you guys can search me up on eBay, see what I have listed, how I'm listing it, how I'm titling it, how my photos look, or what I'm actually selling. And I think that's something that's very important, guys. If you follow, obviously I don't share my Amazon account because that's my lifeblood and it's a lot different than eBay. But if you follow a reseller, for example, someone who's an authority on a subject like reselling, hopefully they have done something to become an authority. You shouldn't be taking advice from people who just started selling because they aren't likely to have accomplished a lot and giving you a lot of advice. So you should be going and looking at the stores of YouTuber resellers and seeing how much they actually sell. What's their sell-through rate? How many items do they have listed versus how many have sold? What is their average sell price? Because if so-and-so is probably a guru and then you go and look at their eBay store and their average sell price is $10 and they only sell 3 items a day, well, they're probably not making that much money on eBay unless they happen to have another store that they're not sharing with you. But yeah, like, you just got to understand like what's actually going on, and that can help you to understand like who do you want to follow, what are they actually doing. Someone said Rock Lee for the win. Rock Lee's dope. He has like the heart of a lion. Let's see. When you made your first videos a couple years ago, were you taking it seriously or were you doing it for fun? Your progress has been fun to watch. I started doing it just because I wanted to be a YouTuber and I was always having fun. I think I had more fun in the beginning because I was just making videos randomly. I was making them with Snapchat even. And I was actually doing more active sourcing myself then, and I wasn't spending so much time on social media. So I think I had more fun, but now I feel like now I'm finally starting to understand what my audience actually wants and giving them that, and that's helping my YouTube to grow. So like recently I separated my family content from this channel. So this channel is always going to be educational. If you see a vlog on this channel, it will be heavily related to Amazon. Like when I go to Seattle for the Merch by Amazon conference, I will probably vlog those days, but it'll be a vlog followed with a recap from what I learned from that day at the conference, something like that. Like I'm not just going to vlog, I'm not just going to show family stuff on this channel. It will be talking head stuff like this, Q&A, quick tips, sourcing video vlogs. So there will definitely be some of those sourcing vlogs, or a trip that's related to Amazon vlogs. Like I'll try my best to give you guys value versus just making videos that I want to make. And that's why I started the family channel, which there's a link. I believe there's a link in the video. I guess there's not. I need to add it. It's Reezy Fam Vlogs. You can search for that, bit.ly/Reezy Fam Vlogs. At the end of all of my YouTube videos, there should be a subscribe link for the family vlog channel. So if you guys like following the hustle a little bit more than just the business, follow the family, hit up the family vlog. But yeah, it's still a journey. I'm still learning every day. YouTube is not something that comes particularly easy to me. Like I have a very easy time speaking to the camera, speaking live, unrehearsed, speaking in general, like, and making videos as well. But to understand, how to promote your videos, how to title and keyword your videos, and how to, understand your YouTube analytics and be able to repeat your previous successes, and just to how to grow your subscribers. What are you doing that's not working? Like all these things are not natural to me. And so I'm in my third year of YouTube, and I feel like I'm finally starting to get some good traction. Let's see. Reezy, have a bunch of leftover FBA products of a niche. Would you want them at cost pricing to resell on eBay? Probably not. But somebody might. Ask around in some of the Facebook groups. What will you be selling in Q4, or just books? So I'll be selling books. I'll never stop selling books. But I will be selling a lot of toys, massive amount of toys, home items. Let's see, obviously Halloween stuff. That's candy, costumes, decorations for your house. Christmas decorations, Christmas gifts, toys, clothes, like anything that would fall into Christmas gifts, I'll sell that, along with Christmas decorations. And of course, toys. Toys go mad for the holidays. And then even in Thanksgiving, there's a little niche for like selling Thanksgiving related food products and, stuff people need to decorate for Thanksgiving, which is a lot of people don't decorate for Thanksgiving, so it's not as big of a draw. But like food related items like pumpkin this, pumpkin that, 4-pack of gravy or whatever else, like these things all sell during Thanksgiving. Let's see if we got any more questions. What is your recommendation as a minimum floor using Reprice It? So I said this earlier, but for books, I would keep it at $8. And there's even some books that weigh so much that an $8 sale will make you lose money. I'm actually testing a new repricer that takes weight into account per item. And so then you could say, I just want to make $1 on each item or 50 cents, and it will adjust the price, the lowest that specific item could go to make you the desired profit, incorporating the weight. And some books are light enough that you could actually sell them for under $7 and still make $1. Diego says, what's Q4? That's the fourth quarter of the year. So October, November, December. I don't want to pay for a scanner app since I'm new. Is there any free ones? The only free one is going to be the Amazon Seller app. That's the only free scanning app. How often to go back to a spot you scan through? If they put stuff out every day, you got to go every day. How do you get access to so many books to do such high revenue numbers? It's all about relations, guys. It's not, we're not just going into thrift stores. They're expecting us. They texted us. They told us there was a lot of books today. or I'm putting the books out myself and saving their worker the time from doing that. And because of that, I get to go in the back and go through the books before you do. So it's not just show up, it's have your finger on the pulse and build relationships. All right. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm going to go hang out with the family, maybe catch some dinner. I just hacked out our Fire Stick TV, so we're going to probably watch some movies or something. Please smash the like button before you guys leave. There's about 20 of you guys that can do it. If you guys are new and you don't know how to sell books, click up here or here. I don't know which side it's on. One of these sides, I'll put a link to an hour-long video about how to sell books. It's basically everything I know. Listen to that on 2X and you should be good. It's also available on the podcast. So if you want to learn on the go, please subscribe to my podcast. If you have any more questions, comment down below. And I would always like to know suggestions to make better content for you guys. And if you guys please do me a favor, I still have some Reezy Resells Hoodwill pins to sell or give away. There's only 100. I think I have about 20 left. I'm going to give away one pin to someone who comments on the video after the live is over. Comment with the timestamp that you think was the best part of the video. So if 3 minutes and 23 seconds was the part of this video that you thought was the most fire, comment 3 minutes, 3:23. And this will help me to create short form content around my long form episodes. So I'll go, if a lot of people comment about 3:20, I'll go and look at 3:20 and say, okay, that's a good nugget to build into an Instagram or Facebook clip. And I will pick one of you guys to win a Hoodwill pin and I will ship it out to you. So comment down below with your favorite time point in this video. And that will help me to deliver content to other people just like you guys. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Remember, if you ain't flipping, you slipping, and don't stop buying until the paint's dripping. I don't know what that means, but have a good night, guys. Peace out. Thank you for tuning in. I love you.